Hello and welcome to Morning Brew on Politics Social. I am Graham Hughes. It is Sunday, the 6th of July, 2025. Big shout out to our friends in the chat. We've got Dears and Case and Richard in there. Sorry, it was a bit late getting everything sorted today. That was until about 10 minutes ago. That was our bed. That's all. Put it all back. Put Brock the Badger there, put the Guinness World Record certificate and everything, and make it look a bit more tidier than it was. Anyway, we're all back now in place, which is good. Unfortunately, that just meant that we had to start a little bit late, and I didn't actually get all of the blurb and the tags and the titles and all that shit done first. So, if you'd like to join our friends in the chat here, if you are not already subscribed to the channel, you will need to subscribe. Not a big hassle, just press the subscribe button, wait for a minute, and then you'll be able to add your opinions on what I'm talking about today, which is the war on woo, which we're losing, which we've kind of lost. And I think it's because we allow people to say daft shit and we just smile and nod, and we don't really take them to task over it as much as we should. We're like, oh yeah, you think the lines that go behind the planes, yeah, you think that's chemicals, and they're putting them in the sky because, reasons. Okay, yeah. Oh, you think 9/11 was an inside job? Yeah. So America just killed 3,000 of its own citizens because why? To invade Afghanistan? Place that doesn't have any oil? Okay. Oh, because it wants to invade Iraq. Oh, okay. Why aren't they putting any Iraqis on the plane? Hey. They're all fucking Saudis. Do you know what I mean? There's a Qatari on board, I think, and a Emirati and an Egyptian. Apart from that, no, they're all Saudi Arabian, mate. Iraq had nothing to do with it. But whatever, reasons. And when people say, oh, I don't think man landed on the moon, and these are the people who didn't do very well in school. They didn't get very good grades. They haven't gone on to do anything particularly stellar in life. And yet they're absolutely convinced they know better than every scientist in the world. And then we have the anti-vaxxers, the worst of the worst. The people who are literal eugenicists. People who think that weak children they perceive to be inferior or invalid, shouldn't be allowed to live. That's quite remarkable, isn't it? That we live in a society where there are still people who believe in eugenics and think that their little crotch nugget is the model of perfection, and that any other crotch nugget anywhere in the world that exists who's not quite 100% in terms of, athletic prowess, because these kids aren't going to be born with much brains, are they, considering what their parents believe? Absolute eugenics. They want the dead. They want the disabled dead. That's what they want. Like Idi fucking Amin. Not anyone who has any kind of genetic predisposition to a particular ailment or syndrome or anything like that. They want them dead. They want them dead for some reason, for some nebulous reason. Because if we have fewer children who shouldn't live past the age of 5, then we'll have stronger humans. Because, yeah, that's what we need, stronger humans, yeah. Fucking weirdos. Anyway, so what's happened? What's happening in America? Oh, hang on, we've got a super chat. Hello, thank you very much to Yuri. The rise of the right-wing tinfoil twats. Very good way of putting it, Yuri. And yes, tinfoil twats. It's the tinfoil twats brigade. Welcome to the death cult. This isn't satire. This isn't a dystopian novel. This is real life in 2025, where the richest, most powerful nation on earth has decided that science is the enemy and that conspiracy theories are actual government policy. This is the Trump administration's war on science, a full spectrum dismantling of scientific institutions, public health infrastructure, and climate policy. This isn't just negligence or stupidity. This is targeted destruction. It's class war, climate denial, eugenics, and magical thinking all rolled into one. It's about as shit as it possibly gets. It's like the evil wizards have taken over. Only they're not real wizards. They just pretend wizards. Because, magic isn't real. Hey, hello. Magic isn't real. Ask anyone who's lost a loved one who had to have the dog put down. Magic's not real. If it was, someone would have filmed it on their mobile phone. And we would have gone, oh, magic exists. Good, that rewrites everything we know about the universe. Which is why it winds me up. And I know that some people watching this might get upset with me for saying this. And I'm sorry if it sounds belittling or demeaning or whatever, condescending. But it's a fact, right? I do not believe, this is my personal opinion, okay? It's my personal opinion. I do not believe that the most difficult questions that humankind ever asked itself, where did we come from? How did it all begin? What happens after you die? Were all answered with 100% deadly accuracy in the freaking Bronze Age. I can't melt that in my mind. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work for me. I'm sorry. There are loads of people who think, yeah, that absolutely, a wizard did it. Yeah. Cool. And I'm sitting there going, a wizard? Yeah. Guy, beard, lived in the sky, did all this amazing shit. Yo. Well, what's happened now is we're seeing reports over the weekend, horrific reports about flash flooding in central Texas. On Friday, unexpected torrential rain caused the Guadalupe River in central Texas to rise rapidly, resulting in devastating flash floods. 51 people dead that we know of, at least 15 children. And 4 of the confirmed dead were girls attending Camp Mystic, an all-girls summer camp. Many are still missing. And there's Kerrville and Hunt, 2 towns in Texas Hill Country, which were overwhelmed by the deluge. Homes have been destroyed, cars washed away, entire structures like campsites obliterated. And while the National Weather Service did issue warnings, but not in the way it would have done if it was fully staffed and resourced. Why wasn't it fully staffed and resourced? Because of Elon Musk and Donald Trump cutting the National Weather Service's budget. A life-threatening flash flooding alert was issued at 1:14 a.m., 3 hours before the worst of the flooding. A lot of people were asleep. Some people might have turned off their emergency alarms. Some people might have not been in cell phone coverage, as they say in America. We say mobile phones, but splitting hairs here. But that was after forecasts had underestimated rainfall amounts. They said that it was predicting 4 to 8 inches, not the actual more than 12 inches that actually fell. And since returning to office, Donald Trump has presided over devastating cuts to the budget and staffing of the National Weather Service, which is their equivalent of the Met over here. So imagine Nigel Farage gets in. The first thing he does is he guts the Met office, and so that the people of Lincolnshire don't get told there's going to be a flood and no one can prepare for it, and fuckloads of people die as a result of Nigel Farage. It sounds like something he would do. I wouldn't think that it would be something that he wouldn't do. And there you go. Acro Dave says, you can't be a god and a wizard. That's not fair. Now Moses, there was a wizard. He even had a staff. He's famous for getting in the middle of the water, and he put his staff down in the water at the Red Sea, and he went, you shall not pass to the water. And then all the Israelites, they legged it across, the quite muddy bottom of the sea there, and he got to the other side, and then he turned and he went to the Egyptians who were chasing after him. He went, you shall not pass, and then the water all came in. That happened, I'm sure. I saw it in a movie. Anyway, so let's talk about fucking Trump. So roughly 600 forecasters and support staff were removed by forced redundancies, early retirement schemes, and hiring freezes. Critical positions were left unfilled, including at the Austin San Antonio National Weather Service office. They were missing a a coordination meteorologist. They're the people who liaise, right, with the service, the weather service, and the emergency services. There wasn't one. That position wasn't filled. And they still don't have a meteorologist in charge in San Angelo, sorry. And as a result, warning dissemination and coordination was hindered, directly impacting response time. Do you think those kids in Camp Mystic would have gone to bed in tents if the warning had come a few hours earlier? No, they wouldn't. They absolutely... So children are now dead. American kids are now dead. I thought that Trump and Musk just wants to kill African children, but it turns out they're quite happy to kill American children as well. Actually, I didn't think that. I thought they just love killing kids because they're fucking sicko psychos. Child killers, child killer in chief. And for the first time in modern US history, local National Weather Service officers they've ceased around the clock operations. They just stopped them. So there's no overnight forecasting in these key areas because the weather stops at it clocks off at 8 o'clock in the evening, doesn't it? The weather doesn't start again until 8 in the morning. The Jackson, Kentucky office had no one on duty earlier this week when deadly tornado flood combo hit. And weather balloon launches have been suspended. Weather balloons being the primary method for collecting real-time upper atmosphere data. In May of 2025, only 70 of 91 sites were launching consistently, leading to a 23% data loss. And this affects the entire US weather model, where tornadoes and storms and hurricanes are shifting and becoming more intense due to climate change. We'll come back to climate change in a moment because this is a big factor in this. And then you've got Trump's anti-science cabinet, the death merchants, the merchants of death, chief of which is the half-dead corpse, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., absolute bloody bane, stain on his family's name. He's the Secretary of Health and Human Services. He's a known anti-vaxxer and conspiracy theorist. He claims vaccines cause autism because he's a stupid twat. The only people who believe that are stupid twats because they don't. Autism is separate. It's like saying that vaccines cause red hair. They do not. If you have a genetic predisposition to be autistic, you might be autistic. You know, I've got friends who they have kids on the autism spectrum, and they're on the autism spectrum as well. Because it's kind of genetics. It's kind of, just runs in the family. Pretty sure, my one of my brothers has been actually officially diagnosed with ADHD, as have I. It runs in, and so is this kid. So it runs in families. It's got nothing to do with vaccines. Absolutely nothing to do whatsoever. That was a lie made up by a disgusting grifter who took his research from going to a birthday party with like 12 kids there and taking their blood from them without asking to be part of a research trial that was paid for by a pharmaceutical company that wanted him to say, oh yeah, don't get your kids vaccinated because vaccinations aren't good for your pharmaceutical companies. Do you know what's good for pharmaceutical companies? A kid who's ill, a kid with a chronic long-term illness that might take them out as a child, but might stay with them for the rest of their life, and they will need things. They will need appointments. They will need procedures. They will need medicine for the rest of their life as a result of them contracting polio or measles or mumps or one of the many other childhood ailments, diseases, viruses that used to wipe out vast swathes of children in this country and other countries around the world, but don't anymore because of vaccines. That's why we don't have smallpox anymore, because of vaccines. And anyone who tells you different is a eugenicist. They want children who they don't see as strong enough dead. You know, like at the beginning of the movie 300, where they separate the babies and they throw the babies away who aren't strong enough. Yeah, they want that. That's the world that the eugenicists, the anti-vaxxers, the anti-science freaks want to create. That's what they want. So, anti-vaxxer, conspiracy theorist. He claims that mass shootings are caused in America by psychiatric drugs, not by the access to guns and the lack of mental health care services. No, can't be that. I've got a message for you, Robbie, you stupid old twat who sounds like you just, I don't know, deep-throated a bag of bloody gravel. They have psychedelic drugs in other countries, mate, and they don't have mass killings. Nowhere near on the scale of America. You might have one every several decades, not one a day. He also believes that trans people are caused by pesticides, even though there have been trans people throughout history. But no, pesticides. That's why there's trans people. All right, mate. He believes that HIV is not the cause of AIDS. Nice. And also, he believes that COVID was racially engineered to not affect Jewish people or Chinese people, I think. Instagram banned him in 2021 for repeatedly sharing misinformation about vaccines. And he now controls a $1.5 trillion budget and 80,000 employees. His Make America Healthy Again report promotes pseudoscientific nonsense dressed up as reform. Expert says it's eugenics. It's just pure eugenics. It's killing off anyone who's sick, anyone who's doesn't have the. He doesn't want. This is the problem with these people who go on about woo and everything being natural and suggest to people who are suffering from cancer that they should just try some juice or something of a coffee enema that'll sort them out. That they think they're doing the right thing. And I'm sick and tired of hearing how great it is when things are natural. Okay, all right. In this very, very unnatural McDonald's coffee cup is water. All right, there's just water in this. Nothing untoward about that. I could show you there's some water in there, right? That's out the tap, right? If I drank 20 of these, I would die. Not because of the plastic, which is bad, but that wouldn't kill me. Not because of the top, not because of the little hole in the top. Because of the water would dilute the electrolytes in my body, making it difficult for electric signals like that my nerves rely on to send messages around my body to function. In the same way that you have pure water in a battery because it does not conduct electricity. If you throw a toaster in the bath, it is not the water that is conducting the electricity. It is the impurities in water that are conducting the electricity. Please don't throw a toaster in the bath. And yet, water's natural. How can it be a bad thing? Yeah, cyanide's natural. Arsenic is natural. Arsenic's in the periodic table. Lead is. Go and lick some lead. It's in the periodic table. It'll be fine. Uranium occurs naturally, my friends. I would not want it sprinkled on my fucking cereal. There are natural mushrooms that you can take and they kill you. They grow naturally in the natural world, yet they will kill you. There are poison berries that will kill you. News flash. Many, many things in nature want you dead. In fact, nature wants you dead because that's the way evolution happens. It tries to kill you before you can reproduce. Because if nature's an asshole, basically. Mother Nature is honestly, she's not a nice person. I'm not going to use the word, but you know what I'm thinking. She really is. I mean, nature is red in tooth and claw. And you can sing a song about it all being the circle of life, but the reality is it's pretty brutal. It's a pretty brutal existence to live on the African plains as a lion and face starvation if you don't catch the gazelle. It's pretty shit if you're the gazelle and you face like being ripped apart by a pride of bloody lions just for the crime of being made of tasty food. But the consequences of what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is doing is absolutely, I mean, this is going to be catastrophic on a biblical level, especially for America. He's undermining vaccine confidence at a time when measles outbreaks are surging across the UK. He's fired over 10,000 federal health staffers. He wants to cut his own department's budget. Which is unheard of. Like most people in charge of a department don't want to cut the funding of that particular department. I'm pretty sure that Elon Musk, when he was running around with his hedge clippers and screaming about Doge, I'm sure he didn't want money to stop coming into Doge. Sure he just wanted it to stop going into, I don't know, health services, welfare, Medicare. And he's positioned the department as the ideological sort of vanguard for the wellness industry, wellness industrial complex, which is a vile group of billionaires who do not have your best interest at heart, who sell placebos. That's it. They sell placebos. They sell shit that doesn't work. They know it doesn't work because if it did work, it would require a medical license. We have a term for the alternative medicine that works. It's medicine. If something doesn't do anything to you, then they can sell as much of it as they like because it doesn't actually do anything. And most medicines come with side effects for certain people. That's fairly normal. Like some things work on others. Some people, other things don't work on other people, right? Caffeine. Okay, so in my little travel cup here, I've got a wonderful cup of coffee that was made by my delightful partner, Catherine, just before I came on. And it's got caffeine in it. Does caffeine perk me up? No. I can drink 7 cups of coffee and then fall asleep because caffeine has a different effect on my brain than other people. It just does. I'm told that if I ever did cocaine, which I'm never going to do because it makes people who aren't twats into twats and it makes people like me. Oh my God, could you imagine? But if I did, apparently it wouldn't affect me the same way that it affects other people because my brain chemistry is slightly different. Your results may vary. Apparently, if you've got the mutation on the 16th chromosome that gives you red hair, that like what I've got, well, I had when I had loads of hair. That apparently it means that you're less. Electric shocks don't hurt as much. They don't hurt as much. Electric shocks. Yeah, work that one out. So to each their own. You find things in life that you like the taste of, or you don't like. You'll have huge arguments over Marmite and peanut butter and all kinds of stuff with people. You're like, how can you eat that stuff? It's disgusting, but to you, it's amazing. Vice versa. Each of their own. Things work differently to different people. But I'll tell you this now: if you're taking some bullshit sugar pills that you bought from Holland and Barrett, they're not going to do anything. There's not going to be any effects, and there's not going to be any side effects, which is great, in a way. That's why homeopathy does so well. It's like, there's no side effects to this water that we're giving you, but it's fucking water or a sugar pill. It's just bullshit. It's woo. It's not real. It's magical thinking. Just want to shake these people and say, grow up. Grow up. Everyone's saying morning to each other. I was say morning to Trip and to Gillian Hope and to My Two Tenths. We've also got Plum Duff in there as well, and also Yuri. There are only 2 species on this planet that wage war, and that is ants and humans. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Dolphins can sometimes attack each other. Elon Musk gained contracts during his dodgy stint in government. Funny that, isn't it? Yes. And also he dropped the there was investigations going on into his business dealings. I'm going to set a goal because it's Sunday morning, just 5 super chats, I think, and that'll be for 30 minutes, and I'll do a bit more. So if we get the super chats in at 10 o'clock, I'll do a paper review. Okay. Oh God, I put 2 E's on the word more and now I can't edit it. Oh well, never mind. Don't tell anyone. If you want to throw in a super chat because you feel sorry for me for typing 2 E's on more and then pressing enter before I actually had a chance to edit that, and how deeply that wounds me. No, seriously, like I can't stand typos. Well, my own typos. Don't mind so much when it's other people. Anyway, so where were we? The wellness industrial complex makes shitloads of money. You know, people go on about the big pharma making all this money, but at least in the defense of big pharma and the horrible shit things that they actually do, they do create products that do actually fucking work. Whereas the wellness industrial complex doesn't do shit. Doesn't do fucking shit. It's kind of like this old-fashioned nanny state bullshit of like, this is what's good for you. Oh, this is what was good for me grandmother. It's like, no, my grandmother, my grandparents' generation, or before the grandparents' generation, say my great grandparents, you know, the average life expectancy was about half what it is today. Like, seriously, so many children died before the age of 5. So many women died in childbirth. Like, childbirth was a proper dangerous fucking thing back then. But about 50% of each childbirth would end with complications for the mother or the baby. We're not like that now when there are major complications. I mean, it's front page news. There's something really awful happens during childbirth. I mean, because it's so unusual these days because of the medical procedures that we've got put in place. And I keep saying this, nature wants you dead. There's no two ways about it. Nature wants you dead. Can't explain this enough. Don't believe me? Go and try and live in a jungle for 2 weeks. Go and set up a colony, New Caledonia, in the Darien Gap in Panama. Go on, off you pop. See how long nature leaves it before nature's like, nah, I'm not having you here. Do you know what you're made of? Food. Nutrients. Give me those juicy nutrients, says the jungle. How long you'll survive in the desert? Yeah? Anyway, moving on. Oh, thank you. Typo Fund from Paul Ewan. Cheers. And Rosie, thank you very much for the super chat, Rosie, as well. Who's just given hearts. Thank you very much. It's very kind of you. How do so many people become anti-science, especially around vaccines for children and the evidence throughout history of the need for them? It's a real weird psychological thing because it feels like giving your kids vaccines is something that is injuring them because you're stabbing them with a needle. And that seems quite violent to some people. It seems like I'm doing violence to my baby, and therefore they'll naturally want to shy away from it. And because of the muddying of the discourse over the last 25, 30 years about vaccines and this vaccine hesitancy, as people call it, it has really, really fucked things up for a whole generation of children who are now not given the herd immunity that they need. Some kids can't be immunized for various reasons. And if the kids who can be vaccinated aren't vaccinated, then that's going to make it a lot easier for that particular virus to spread. What herd immunity is there's enough vaccinated people that the virus just does not get a chance to spread from one person who's got it to another, because there's a big barrier of people who the virus can't get a foothold in because of vaccinations. And all it is, I mean, it's not really that complicated. I know that we got some really interesting stuff coming out of the COVID vaccines, and there were different forms of vaccine. There was an RNA vaccine, which was really fascinating, in which your body kind of made a version of COVID, so it knew how it felt or something. It was mind-blowing. But generally speaking, if you have a disease and you survive it, your body is prepped next time you get that disease. If you get a virus, next time you get it, your body is prepped because your body's already dealt with it. And it goes, oh, hang on, I remember this one. And your body's got a long memory. And all that vaccines are is a small amount of a virus, or now a deactivated version of the virus that won't actually make you ill. And it makes it so your body is primed. So when you do get that, the measles virus comes into your body, your antibodies go, oh, yeah, I know this one. Right, okay, these are the weapons that we need to take this one out. Okay, right, it's dead. And we've been fighting this war on viruses since the fucking dawn of mankind. You know, we haven't had the tools that we needed in the past, but we do now. And don't forget, it was Edward Jenner back in what, the 1790s, was it? Someone look it up. I'm sure it's about 200 fucking years ago. Who was like, I find that these milkmaids who contract cowpox don't get smallpox. Maybe there's a connection there. And he did some scientific research. I think he injected his own child, actually, with the cowpox vaccine, with a little bit of cowpox, and that stopped them from getting smallpox. That's how terrified people were of smallpox back in the day. One towards the count. Thank you very much to Anne Phillips there for the £2 super chat. And Steve says the beauty industry too. Steve, you're absolutely right. The wellness and the beauty industry are absolutely connected in so many ways. And we're talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry. I've spoken about this before. Like, I really hate the way in this country, having white skin, white skin, like what gingers have, is seen as like a bad thing, right? And so you have to go and get your skin tanned. You have to go to the boot chemist and get like paint to put on your face and make yourself look browner than you actually are. And that's a big thing. They spend lots of money on it. You go to Malaysia and there's stuff to make you whiter because the skin's naturally brown over there for most people. And they're told, no, that's no good. You don't want brown skin. What you want is white skin. You want to look like a fucking geisha. Which is just mind-blowing. Anyway, thank you very much to Anne and Steve for those super chats. We've got another couple come in from Captain Coconut. Some people find it easy to deny rational thinking. Yeah. Rational thinking annoys them and upsets them, I think. I don't know. And Katrina Tam, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Hi, Graham. Had to take a break for a while from news and politics for my mental health. Have some money for still being awesome. And the goal. Oh, thank you so much, Katrina. And I'm glad that you took time away from this. And I'll say this to anyone watching these shows. Like, you don't owe me anything, okay? Like, if you need to take care of your own mental health, and oh my God, like turning your phone off and going for a walk is a really good way of dealing with what the shit is going down in the world right now, because a lot of it is quite depressing, and it's one of the reasons why on this channel and on other channels like Super Tanskis and others, we try to be funny. You know, we try and throw jokes in there and funny insults to the knobheads doing this to us, because if I swear, if I was like a newsreader, right? If I was just sitting here to give you the news each day and go, okay, so this is what's happening in Guatemala today, I'd go mad. I'd go completely mad. I would. I know I would. I wouldn't be able to take it because it's too much. It's too much. And I think we've just got to process this stuff when we're able to in a forum that is good for the way that we view the world and the way that we deal with our own mental health. Yuri, thank you very much for the for the £2 super chat. Progress peaked with cheese cut pizza. Yeah, pizza time. Well, I mean, there's been some major leaps with science and technology just in the last 20 years. Medicine, we're looking that we're going to be getting some form of, some of the stuff I'm excited about is immunotherapy, where they take your they can use CRISPR to change DNA in order to prevent against congenital diseases, but also fight against cancer. There's also huge strides being made on protein folding, and AI is really helping with that. You've also got some major strides being made with stuff like anti-fat jabs, like Ozempic, which are amazing and brilliant. And I hate the fact that so many people look at it and go, it's cheating. I don't give a fuck about cheating. You know, the rich, they've been cheating for fucking years, mate. They're born cheating. Just because something's hard doesn't make it noble. There's an easy way. There's a cheat code for your health, so you're still around for your family for years to come. Fucking type in that cheat, up, down, left, right, start. Just do it. Just fucking do it. Anyway, that's my take on it. And you know what? It won't work for everyone. It's one of my eternal frustrations when I talk to people about particular medicines and things, and they say, "I tried that and it didn't work." I say, "Well, did you try something else?" So people I know who have travelled around the world and they took some Lavium and made them go do Lavium. It can affect your dreams and you end up having night terrors and stuff. To some people, doesn't affect everyone, but for some people that's what happens. And because of the negative effects of that, they stop taking it, which means they don't take any anti-malarials at all while traveling through malarious countries, which are, it's irresponsible as an independent traveler, because if you get ill, you're taking up space in a hospital that could be used for locals. But also, it's incredibly irresponsible to not take your malaria pills because of the way that malaria is transmitted. Malaria is transmitted from someone who is infected to somebody else via the female mosquito. I don't know which particular type of mosquito it is, but the female mosquito, which is the one that makes no noise, and it will go into a room, and if there's one, or a hotel, or a hostel, or a house, whatever, and if there's one person in there with malaria, they will suck that malaria out of them with their blood, and then they need to bite X many people in the next few hours in order to spread that malaria. So if you have malaria, you are helping give malaria to other people. And if you're traveling through a country in sub-Saharan Africa, you will give malaria to some other people in sub-Saharan Africa. And that to me is, disgraceful, absolutely disgraceful. White guy going to Africa, killing African kids unwittingly. Oh, I didn't realize that's how malaria transmitted itself from one person to another. But anyway, so yeah, there's other anti-malaria pills you can take. Doxycycline, for instance, of what I took when I was traveling. And that was fine up to a point, except I found out quite early on that you needed to be sitting up when you took it, because I kept forgetting to take it. And then when I went to bed, I was like, oh shit, I better take that pill that I'm supposed to take every day. I took it, and because I was lying down, it caused my esophagus to swell. Is it your esophagus that's for your food? Whatever, my food pipe, not my windpipe. It caused it to swell up and made it very difficult to swallow food. So I learnt my lesson, but I kept taking it and just knew to stay sitting up for an hour after taking the damn thing. Inflammation, that's the word. Inflammation of the esophagus. Anyway, let's go back to what Trump's doing, and these dickheads in the health services. There's someone called Casey Means, and this is Trump's Surgeon General nominee, who is a functional medicine quack, dropped out of surgery residency to push wellness and over clinical practice. There's a movie with Anthony Hopkins in called The Road to Wellville, I think it's called. And it's about Mr. Kellogg, the guy who set up Kellogg's cereal company, who was a fucking nut. And he was well into this wellness stuff in like the end of the 1800s. He's obsessed with poo. He used to, like that horrible McKeith woman on the TV who would berate, who would berate working class people for what they ate. They love those shows on TV, don't they? Berating working class people. We've got Benefit Street. We have You Are What You Eat. We had the Jeremy Kyle show. Let's bring working class people on TV and laugh at them. Let's humiliate them. Let's make them feel like shit. Yeah, that'll be good. That'd be great entertainment, povo porn. And they'll do this thing where they set out all the things that they buy in the supermarket on a table. And it's like, yeah, this is all the things you eat this in a week. Yeah, I know that because we have to go to the supermarket and get that. Fits in a supermarket trolley. We'll just spread it out of the table, make it look bad. We'll put the crisps at the front. Anyway, so Casey Means criticizes modern medicine and vaccine schedules without any evidence and claims nutritional supplements. Nutritional supplement. The woo peddlers. Snake oil. So we need nutritional supplements, and lifestyle changes are better than most pharmaceuticals. Not for curing cancer, dickhead. Not if you have an actual disease. Not if you've broken your fucking leg. All right? Many things that, kids could do with more nutrition in America. Their diet is fucking awful. That's very true. But don't replace that diet, the shit diet, with an even shitter diet that just makes loads of money for these wellness companies. And then we've got Dr. Mehmet Oz, who's been put in head of Medicare and Medicaid. He's a TV snake oil salesman. He's promoted hydroxychloroquine as a COVID cure, and he backs unproven treatments and alternative medicine at every opportunity. And let's not beat around the bush, right? Vaccine denial is eugenics in disguise. That's it. That is my. I can't. There is no way of pulling me down off this hill, right? This is the hill that I will die on. Vaccine denial is eugenics. It's as simple as that. It means that the weaker humans die. And that's what they want. The children who are not, genetically predisposed to fight back against measles or polio or smallpox, they die. And therefore we create supermen, because that's the way it works, honest gov. When the government of America promotes vaccine hesitancy, it's not just personal choice, it is death and disability for the poor, the immunocompromised, and the socially excluded. This is eugenics. They want to get rid of the underclass. And don't think for a moment that these posh, privileged, privately educated pricks will be affected by this. They will make sure that all their children are vaccinated. All the anti-vax people who were saying, I'm not getting the COVID vaccination, they fucking got the COVID vaccination. There were some of them who went to another country, a country that you needed to be vaccinated against COVID, or they would not let you in. And they were there saying, oh, you shouldn't get vaccinated. So, well, how are you here then? And there's been a massive resurgence of measles. Measles cases in the first 3 months of 2025. There's been more cases. There have been more cases in the first 3 months of 2025 than there were in the whole of 2024. And the CDC, what's left of it, the Centers for Disease Control, they blame failing vaccination rates and a rise in online disinformation. And, Andrew Wakefield, who should be, thrown into the dungeons of hell as far as I'm concerned, his fraudulent MMR autism link from 1998, so over 27 years now, 27 years. That bullshit still lives on, despite being discredited, debunked, and him being struck off the medical register. Friends, listen. Do you know how difficult it is to get struck off the medical register? Let me tell you, okay? Harold Shipman was still signing repeat prescriptions when he was in jail after being convicted. That's how hard it is to be struck off the medical register. He was convicted of killing hundreds of people. And yet he was still signing repeat prescriptions. That is how hard it is to kick someone from the medical register. He was kicked, I think, before he actually took himself out. But, RFK has now turned this debunked bullshit from Andrew Wakefield into US federal policy. And then you've got the crunchy mum army of dickheads, the mum's net dickheads, Instagram influencers turned foot soldiers of the wellness industrial complex, distrustful of doctors. All these pediatricians, they spend all their life researching how to save children's lives, and they're doing it because they want to give children learning difficulties for some reason. The people working for Medicine Sans Frontier tracking through Africa, tracking through the Democratic Republic of Congo, dragging a fridge through the jungle to go and give kids measles jabs. Yeah, they're doing it to give those children learning difficulties. Because why? But the arrogance of these people, the arrogance of people who know better than all the doctors in the world. Yeah, doctors fuck up now and again and get things wrong. We know that. But as a group of people, they're the people you're going to go after. The people who got the straight A's in the GCSEs and A level. The people who went into university and studied medicine. They're the dickheads and you're the clever one. Okay, mate. If you say so. You got it all sorted. Conspiracy thinking. Distrustful of doctors, obsessed with seed oils and fucking juice and raw meat. Not raw meat, raw milk. Probably more meat as well. Get yourself some E. coli. Yeah, that'd be good. Obsessed with raw milk and detoxes and parental sovereignty. And this has been weaponized by the far right. Emotional manipulation meets science denial. And while this is all going on, there's another facet of it. Climate change. Climate fucking change. The climate is collapsing. And Trump is kicking down the collapsing building. His big bastard bill that he signed into law on Friday is the most anti-environmental bill in US history. What it does is it slashes funding for clean energy, green tech, and climate research. It eliminates tax credits for EVs, for heat pumps and solar panels. It repeals efficiency grants for homeowners. It expands oil and gas drilling on public land. It rolls back emissions regulations. And it gives fossil fuel giants £14 billion in tax breaks. Jesus Christ. Oh, my Jesus. The projected results are going to be the loss of over 340 gigawatts of clean energy generation. Electricity bills up for all Americans by 10 to 18% over the next decade, and hundreds of thousands of green jobs destroyed. The public health impact is going to be increased asthma rates in children, poor air quality, poor water quality, more respiratory illnesses, and collapse in the healthcare coverage for over 17 million Americans. There's going to be more extreme weather events and less prevention. There's going to be less mitigation. There's going to be fewer warnings that these things are going to happen. Americans are going to die by the bucket load. But unfortunately, because America is the biggest and most polluting country in the world, their effects are going to affect everyone else on the planet. This is why I think we should invade America and take the motherfuckers out. Be the last thing they're expecting. Turn up at the UN, all of us, all the other 192 countries of the UN, and go, "This is ours now." The UN in New York. Hey, he's threatening to invade us, so it's the least we can do. Anyway, and then we've got Marjorie Taylor Greene, the idiot's idiot. Marjorie Taylor Greene, the Liz Truss of America. She started a crusade this week against chemtrails. Well, no, she started the crusade a while ago, but she's actually introduced a bill. She's introduced a bill into American Congress, right? Criminalizing weather modification. Now, this is funny because actually you could argue that climate change is weather modification. But let's look into it. It targets cloud seeding, an 80-year-old well-studied process to induce rain or snow in areas that are suffering a drought. It requires a bit of clouds to get started, but it can work not particularly effectively. It can't cause the floods that were caused in the floods that happened in like Dubai a couple of years ago. People said, "Oh, that's because of cloud seeding." It absolutely wasn't. That's just not the way science works. But she wants to give her £80,000 fine and a 5-year prison sentence. Based entirely on conspiracy theories that when you see a plane in the sky and there's a vapor trail going behind it, which is water, and disturbed cold air, which has been disturbed by a warm thing traveling through the thing, right? They look at that and they go, "Oh, that's chemicals, that is." In the same way that on a cold day, when you breathe out and you can see the water vapor coming out your mouth, yeah, that's chemicals, that is. It's not water vapor. It's not because the air in your body is warmer than the air in the surrounding area, and therefore when you breathe out, it comes out as vape. This has been supported by Tim Burchett of Tennessee, who said, "Let's roll, lady." These people. And it's based on Florida Senate Bill 56 signed by Governor Ron DeSantis. They're making bills. They're making bills to stop a thing that isn't happening. And talking about cloud seeding, it's safe. It's very, very rarely used, and it's got no connection to chemtrails. This is the confusion of contrails, which are vapor trails, with chemtrail conspiracy nonsense. They're not chemicals, it's water. It is dihydrogen monoxide, which, taken in large quantities can kill. But it's in everything. Oh, that dihydrogen monoxide, it gets fucking everywhere. As Mick West, who is the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry, put it, they put two and two together and made 17. So before I talk about destroying science one agency at a time, I'm going to have a look at your messages here. Chippy must know this, so I really want to know what made them all come to this consensus and not do it. They must have a logical economic reason. I really want to know. Lol. RFK loves his bowl of raw mint. I've seen it. Oh, God, that's a cannibalism, isn't it? Yeah, but I remember the proud boast that apparently we now live in a post-expert world. Yes, we're sick of experts telling us the answers. Guess what? Wakefield went to a private school. Of course he did. Of course he did. They're not sending their best, are they? Paula, thank you very much for the £10 super chat from the BBC Reform UK. MP James Murdoch has given up the party whip after a newspaper raised questions over tens of thousands of pounds worth of loans he took out under a COVID-19 support scheme. Thanks for the super chat. This brings the number of MPs who have the whip in Reform down to 4. They're down to 4 again. Competency, that's what I like to see. I just love the competency of it all. They're just so competent. Good morning, everyone. How are we doing today? I'm pretty meh as usual. Just watching Black Sabbath's Back to the Beginning on YouTube. It's pretty good, says Leapshin. Yeah, it looked really fun yesterday at Villa Park in Birmingham. When Ozzy played his final show, heavy metal royalty. He was joined by members of about, I think there was about 50 bands in the end that played, because they had these super groups where they got Tom Morello from Rage, and they got Travis from Blink-182, and they got Tyler fucking Durden, whatever his name is, from Aerosmith, all on stage at the same time. Steve Tyler. It looked like a lot of fun. It looked like a lot of fun. Let's have a look. I believe you, Pete. I've had not so experience of watching myself from above being resuscitated in ICU leaves indelible memories. That's cool. And Scott, it really freaked me out. Not a fever dream of drugs. I can't get it out of my head. It was like we were all in a waiting room, no one speaking, looking, nothing. Nurses knew something. Vendetta. What's this? I should ask you a question. What's been minced in that bowl? Probably human brains. Anyway, so look, destroying science one agency at a time. The National Weather Service, as we mentioned earlier, has been hollowed out. No funding for weather balloons. Forecasting systems are failing. Software outages are causing delays to tornado warnings, and field meteorologists have been deployed from research into frontline crisis management. Other agencies have been impacted, like the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, which has had its budget slashed. It's had its research arm gutted, and data loss now impacts both national forecasting and global climate modelling. And there's been an exodus of scientists. According to Nature magazine, 75% of scientists surveyed in the US are actively considering leaving, which is no surprise at all. Top destinations include Canada, Germany, and the UK. Come here, please. Come here. We need more scientists. We need less dickheads. Fewer dickheads as a proportion of society. And as I don't believe in eugenics, the best way to deal with that is by bringing more clever people over. Clever people who know what the fuck they're doing. Competent people. Can we have some competency, please? That's what I want. Just Dip me in chocolate and throw me to the competency. That's all I ask. Just be competent. This is a brain drain on an unprecedented scale for America, but this isn't just America. The rot is spreading. The far-right pseudoscience has gone global. British anti-vaxxers and TERFs, usually one and the same, are echoing American conspiracies. Brexit's post-truth model laid the groundwork. Tory MPs flirt with climate change denial as to fuckers, and medical conspiracy under the banner of free speech. You got Richard Tice going around saying, "Oh, it's the climate change is nonsense. We've got to stop this whole net zero nonsense. It's not necessary." And then we've got the wellness to fascism pipeline, which is a well-trodden pipeline from being into woo and being into crystal meditation, all that kind of shit, and becoming a massive fucking fascist. So I'm just saying, not everyone who's into crystals and woo becomes a big, massive fascist, but mistrust of pharma and science gets redirected into ethno-nationalism and authoritarian control. Anti-trans, anti-vax, anti-climate, anti-fact. It's all part of the same fascist program, fascist indoctrination program, and this is how they reel people in. Third Eye Blind, thank you very much for the £5 super chat. Farage is the political equivalent of a used and discarded condom in a hedgerow. Thanks very much for that image. Third Eye Blind, I don't think you're wrong. So final thought. Look, this isn't a drill. All right, this is organized sabotage. From climate breakdown to measles outbreaks, the Trump administration is waging war on the very foundations of a functioning society. The victims are the poor, the marginalized, the scientifically literate, and ultimately everybody, except the billionaires who can afford to build a bunker at the top of a volcano fortress on an island in the Pacific. This is not just stupidity, this is ideology. These aren't accidents. These are deliberate decisions to prioritize ideology over survival, grift over truth, and billionaires over basic decency. And what can we do? Well, first of all, we can support scientists. We can fund public institutions. We can expose the pseudoscientists. We can help destroy the platforms of fascist quackery. And, we can try our best to stop people electing people who think the clouds are trying to kill them. We could do that. Let's do that. Let's do that together. Come on, we'll do it together. It'll be fun. I'm into crystals and woo and all that. I'm also into science and research. I don't think I'm fascist. I hope not. Well, no, I'm not saying that everyone who goes in for the crystals and stuff is fascist. I'm saying it's a well-trodden pathway from one to the other, which people take, unfortunately. We've got to wake up. We've got to say, look, this is not good. This is not, as someone who's been going to the Glastonbury Festival for 28 years, it's fun. Like, it's interesting. It's nice to have alternatives to medicines and to things that chronic pain and stuff like that can be cured in other ways than using medicines. Some medicines don't work for things like chronic pain, but other things do. It just depends on the individual. But don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There are a lot of amazing things that medical science can do now. And if we don't take the opportunity to use them, you have stories like the one we had a couple of weeks ago about a beautiful young woman who died at the age of 23 of a cancer that it was a 90% survival rate when they found it. 90%. And yet, instead of getting the chemotherapy that she needed to stay alive and live a long, happy, healthy life, she listened to her mum, who said, no, what you need is to put coffee up your bum. I'm sorry, you're not going to win me over on this. I just think that's fucking disgraceful. Her mum should be in jail, as far as I'm concerned, for negligent manslaughter, I guess. But there you go. But yeah, placebos work. Placebos do work. They do. I have to admit that. Like, people think that something works, and it will. You can take a sugar pill thinking that it's an anodine, and it'll work. Actually, if you take an anodine, it works better than the same product and off-brand. because for some reason the psychological impacts of you reading the label and going, oh, well, I paid £4 for this pack of pills that I could have got for 25p. So they must be good. And because you think that they're working, they work. It's a placebo effect. There's also the nocebo effect, which works the other way. But we've seen actual scientific evidence where people's stomach ulcers have shrunk as a result of them taking placebos because they think it's going to work. Human mind is a crazy place. But one thing that I will always say is laughter is the best medicine, and keeping a positive attitude is very, very important, no matter what you're going through and what's happening in chemically in your body. Giving up shouldn't. Well, I mean, if you're sick of it all, yeah, giving up can be an option. But if you give up, you're more likely to leave us than if you keep fighting and keep a positive mental attitude. Although there's people out there with a positive mental attitude who are still brown bread, but like I say, we're all different, and we're not one size fits all. And I would rather we talk about complementary medicine that goes with medicine rather than alternative medicine, which sounds to me like an alternative to medicine. Like, you really want to go down that route? And it's because of this part of it's because of this stupid human desire to not to do it the hard way, to do it the hard way. That's the way my parents did it. It's the way my grandparents did it. And we don't have to. Sometimes the easy route is the most sensible route to take. And you're not going to achieve anything by making yourself ill. They say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Polio doesn't. Polio fucking doesn't, mate. I'm serious. If you survive polio, it doesn't make you stronger. And also, a spoonful of sugar doesn't always help the medicine go down, especially if you've got diabetes. But yeah, there are some issues here that we'd need to address, because there's a grain of truth that runs through the mountain of bullshit that is the Make America Healthy Again agenda, which is that American people are really fucking unhealthy. But that's because they've had high glucose corn syrup, whatever the fuck they call it, that sugar substitute that they use in America in everything. All these different chemicals. They have a stupid setup where the FDA. So in the UK and in Europe, we have a rule that when we have a new product comes on the market, we have to prove it's safe. And until you prove it's safe, you can't sell the product in the UK or in Europe or in the EU. In America, you can sell anything. You can sell absolutely anything until it kills someone. And then it might get banned. Maybe. Who knows? There are systemic problems in America. The sugar industry just has too much power. The sugar industry that grew out of the sugar plantations of the slave era, the slavery era. Tate and Lyle, Yeah. Who sponsored the Tory party conferences? Tate and Lyle. Funny that. We're from a proud history of slave owners. And we prop up the big right-wing fasci party in the UK. Captain Coconut, the body is much more connected to our brain, and there are ways to unlock its potential to heal. Yes. But it's got to be complementary. That's my point. Like saying, I'm not going to take the medicine that we know that has been proven to work in thousands, hundreds of thousands of other cases around the world, in preference for juice and coffee enemas. That is fucking suicidal. But if you do it to someone else, as far as I'm concerned, it's fucking murder. It's fucking murder. Taking someone at their most vulnerable and saying, hey, I know you're scared right now, but I've got this great alternative. And a problem that we have with a lot of the cancer medications that we take is that you have chemotherapy, for instance. It makes you feel like shit. Like, chemotherapy is a fucking horrific process to go through. Your mileage may vary. It's worse for some people than others. But it makes you feel absolutely rotten. And it makes you feel absolutely rotten months and months afterwards. So what happens with a lot of people is they do the chemotherapy, and it, shrinking the size of the tumor takes a long time. And they get to a point 3 months after they've done the chemotherapy, and they're like, I'm going to try this juice diet. And they try the juice diet, and they feel much better because the distance from the chemotherapy has grown. That's why they feel better. But then they attribute it to the juice rather than the chemotherapy. That's the problem. So, no problem at all with complementary medicine, complementary therapies. No problem at all. Alternative? No. Fuck off. Take the fucking medicine that we know works. And yeah, use other things to help you individually, stuff that you know works for you, whether that is meditation, whether that is, sticking coffee up your bum, whatever the fuck it is, right, that you find that works for you. Yeah, take that as well, as long as it doesn't actually impact the medication that you're taking. There's some like medications and you take and you can't eat fruit or something, which is kind of crazy. Should we do the papers? High fructose corn syrup, Flint Reed, that's the one. It's in everything in America. Well, Australia has some regulations. It does. Tate and Lyle killed my hamster, says Flint Reed. Yeah, that sounds about right. Big Banana Republic, that's true. I repeat, no reputable therapist will tell you not to take conventional meds ever, but things like Reiki can help with chemo side effects. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I don't want to dismiss. I'm sorry if it came across like that. I'm just like, whole life is bullshit. I know that supplemental, procedures can help, but absolutely saying, no, I'm not going to take this vaccination. I'm not going to get chemo. I'm not going to get radiotherapy. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. When this stuff has been proven to work time and time and time again. And of course, we can point to the times it doesn't work because sometimes it won't. Sometimes people just get better. Sometimes it does because there's a fucking, how many? 8 billion humans on the planet. There's going to be some strange things that happen. But none of them are going to be technically a miracle. At least not ones that we capture on, we record them on our mobile phone. Okay, I'm going to nip over to the papers now because we hit the target. We hit the target ages ago. Thank you so much for that. Makes it worth scrambling to get up this morning and put our bed away. You see the little thing there? Look, that's the little thing you pull out for the bed. I actually took that away. Brock the badger's like, what are you doing to it? But yes, meditation does actually have measurable effects, great for BP, especially for those who can't take statins, says Reverend Kathy. Yeah, problem for me for meditation is I just can't. It's torture for me, probably because I'm ADHD. So it works for some people, it doesn't work for others. So yeah, that's one of those weird things, isn't it? That like something that absolutely works wonders for one person, and they can get quite evangelical about it, which kind of winds me up a little bit, I've got to admit. And I go back to what I often talk about when I talk about a mate of mine who worked in Manchester with drug addicts, and he found that one of the, I wouldn't say difficulties, one of the issues that he had was that the best people to talk to drug addicts about not being addicted to drugs anymore are former drug addicts, right? But they will believe that whatever method they use to get off the drugs, that is the only method. And it's quite hard to explain to people that, no, actually, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And that a method that worked on you might not work as well on someone else. And yeah, you've got to tailor the treatment to that particular person, especially when it comes to therapy, as in managing pain, which is something that we need in everyday life. Things that work for one person doesn't work for another. So I'll give you an instance. For me personally, bed rest. When you've got like a sore back or something, bed rest is the worst fucking thing for me. Right? If I fall asleep, I will wake up with a sorer back than I had before I went to sleep. Apparently, we don't make our own natural ibuprofen when we sleep or something like that. Really affects me. Best thing for me when I've got a sore back is to walk. Just go for a walk. And it loosens it all up, or go swimming. Bed rest does nothing for me. But other people, the opposite. They go for a walk, they get more achy. We're all different. We all, our brains work differently. Our physiology is different. Hi, Veg Pie. How you doing? Harushi says, I'm ADHD, so I'm a walking contradiction. Yeah. Well, that's funny because it's kind of like in our little groups on online here, with the different people who make content. Pretty much all of us are neurospicy in some way. Like, it's funny that a couple of us have actually been diagnosed, like me and Tan, with ADHD. There's a couple who have been diagnosed with autism, and yeah, everyone's in this group, and you tend to find that like you can say the exact same thing in a group, and depending on where people are on the neurospicy meter, the neurospicy meter, they'll react to different ways, but it's kind of like predictable the way they'll react to a different. It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyway, Graham, you can meditate. The hundreds of ways of doing it. Sitting on a cushion is useless of ADHD. You need someone to help you find a method you can do. Well, yeah. I mean, I've climbed over the Himalayas. I've spent a week in Tibet. I didn't find. There must be someone, but yeah, left alone with my own thoughts, my thoughts race, and the longer I leave it, and I can do my breathing exercises and all that, it just makes my brain just ping, 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 faster and faster, and I need some kind of like release. It's it's torture to me to even try. I can't explain. I can't express this enough. It's painful. Like, it physically pains me to even try to do that. And I have tried and gone, this is a deeply pleasant experience. I'm going to stop doing this now because it makes my brain just go fucking cray-cray. Like I say, everyone's different. What works for the goose doesn't necessarily work for the gander. Right, okay, so we're going to have a look at the papers quickly. Rainer to put banter police in your office. Banter police. Okay, right, whatever the fuck. Watch what you say by the water coolers. Workers' right to build precious firms to spy on inappropriate conversations. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. No, it fucking doesn't. It just says that if someone is racist or sexist or homophobic or transphobic against someone in a company, then there's a duty of candor, for people to say, yeah, I heard that. I heard them say that. Fiona Phillips, we didn't know it was Alzheimer's. We didn't know, but Alzheimer's was tearing our marriage apart. That's really awful. I feel sorry for her. Where to go to keep cool this summer? Durham. There you go. Answered that question. What's the story? Well, here's the story, right? This was buried in all of the stuff about Oasis over the weekend. The publishing rights for the songs of Oasis from the mid-90s, they fall back into the hands of one Mr. Noel Gallagher this year. So as well as the performance rights, performance royalties coming in from this year, he's getting publishing rights for the lyrics and the music. Two separate sets of royalties, and now he's going to be very, very, very rich. So he's not an idiot, is Noel Gallagher. His brother, though, famously described by Noel as a man with a fork in a world of soup. I love that expression. 2-child cap to stay despite welfare retreat. Limit unlikely to be lifted because of $3 billion cost. Labour revives Sure Start to aid poorer families. Great news about Sure Start. Shit news about the 2-child cap. Reform MP suspend himself over loans, which we just mentioned. Renee Smajstria. I can't pronounce that. She was among 32 people, including 14 children, killed in flash flooding in Texas. So this little kid, beautiful little kid, murdered by Trump and Musk and Robert fucking Jr. Robert J. Hoffenheimen. What's his name? Robert J. Kennedy Jr. Murdered this child. Ganged up to Met. Those were the richest people in America. Met chief calls for mega forces. The country's most senior police officer has called for the number of forces in England and Wales to be slashed by 2/3 and urged the government to conduct the most radical overhaul of crime fighting in 60 years. Sir Mark Rowley, the Metropolitan Police Commissioner, said the model of 43 county-based forces has not been fit for purpose for at least 2 decades and suggested they should be replaced by 12 to 15 regional mega forces. I couldn't disagree more. I mean, look, I'm sure he knows more than me about this, but I think one of the big problems with the Met is it's just too fucking big. I mean, data sharing, that's fine, but I think that the Met should be split into 32 different fucking, maybe 16 different forces, which means that any kind of bullshit that goes on is picked up a lot faster. Because at the moment, I think the Met is too big and too unwieldy. But your mileage may vary. I just don't. The one-size-fits-all model is always going to get me back up. I believe in devolution. I believe in local solutions to local problems, and having we've got a Durham constituency here. I mean, fucking Durham's massive. The county is huge, but it's not that populated. It's outside of the city of Durham itself. There's only like two people and a dog. UK police state, yeah, exactly. And airport staff's oversized bag bonus here. Airport staff are earning cash bonuses for catching out EasyJet passengers traveling with oversized bags. A leaked email has revealed. Can I just tell you something? Right. So, as you know, or some of you might know, I'm going to go to Canada in September. I'll be taking you with me. We'll be still doing the shows. We'll be doing them. They'll be at like 1 o'clock or something in the afternoon, because obviously it'll be 5 hours difference. But I'll be continuing to do this. I'm going over for the Toronto International Film Festival, which I've been invited to. And while I've taken advantage of my invitation to Canada, I've booked myself a quick flight over to Panama to go to my place in Panama. It was a cheap flight that I got through Canada Air, like really, really cheap, like crazy cheap. I mean, I think probably cheaper than going to London on the train over here. That's how cheap it was. But here's the thing: the cheapest flight, the one that's advertised. When you type in like flights from here to here, and it comes up and goes, "Oh, that's really cheap," and you click on it, right? Yeah. Okay, so no check-in luggage. That's fine. Don't mind that. I travel around the world with just a backpack, a small backpack. I can do that. But here's the thing. Here's the kicker, right? For the cheapest flight, the cheapest price, the cheapest ticket, no cabin baggage. You're not even allowed to take a small backpack or a small case onto the plane. I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Wow. So they expect you to go on a 2-week holiday to Costa Rica with nothing but your toothbrush in your top pocket. Take no clothes, take no toiletries. They expect women to take no sanitary towels, tampons, no shampoo, nothing. Not even like a 100ml bottle. Nothing. Just what you can stuff in your pockets. Wowzers, trousers. So if you do want to take your bag on board, that's an extra 20 quid. Wow. Okay, so independent here. Georgina Fuller, as a mother, I'm disturbed by there is now a lower body spray for boys. Are you? I don't know. I mean, I was a teenage boy once, and I, would at that age. And then we've got the independent here. Liverpool stars mourn at the funeral of teammate Diogo Jota and his brother, or Jota. This is just so sad. There's just no words for this. This is just really horrible thing that's happened to Diogo Jota and his brother Andre Silva, dying in a car crash. Absolutely needless. At the age of 28, Jota, Reeves warned she must break promise not to raise taxes. Lord O'Neill, an ex-Treasury Minister as well as former advisor to the Chancellor, says she must U-turn on a pledge not to raise taxes for working people, or the government will have to abandon other properties. So we'll see what happens there. Oh God, there's the fucking Telegraph. Here we go. Right. Perfect French, the joy of A. Cool. And then we've got Emma Bridgewater, Labour needs to butt out of business. Fuck off. We've got axe sickness to benefits for axe Sickness benefits for foreigners. Tories urge. Bad enough to make cutting welfare a clear dividing line with Starmer and Farage. Foreigners should be barred from claiming key disability benefits to reduce the costs of Britain's welfare bill. They are. They are. When my Australian partner lived with me in the UK, she had a thing in her passport that said, in her Australian passport, it said no recourse to public funds. But whatever, let's just create things to this is like chemtrails, isn't it? Just creating policy or I don't know, power. So to slay imaginary dragons. Reform MP quits. We've got Starmer backing for UN high tax pact. Fuels fears ahead of budget. Palestine action protesters arrested after defying ban. And then we've got the people there. Farewell, quiet hero. As Jota is laid to rest. And then we've got Silver as well. We've got Sunday Mirror here. You'll never walk alone. Football Brothers funeral. That's come up twice for some reason. The Real Salt Path. How a blockbuster film and book and film were spun from lies, deceit, and desperation. Oh wow, okay. And there's 2 copies of the Observer, and if we go back to the top as well, there's 2 copies of the Star. A whole jot of love. Anyway, so that's the covers of the papers. I don't know why things are duplicated there. That wasn't my doing. Policy that doesn't exist. Yeah, exactly. I just want to shift more money to the king and his handkerchief collection. I'm surprised football clubs don't have a ban on players buying supercars while employed by the clubs. Yeah, Sarah, I've got to agree on that. They were driving a Lamborghini at like half past midnight along a motorway, and maybe if I don't know, but I imagine if they were doing the speed limit, they might still be with us. But I don't think that's for us to speculate at this point. And the poor kids, because you have 3 kids left behind, and you only got married 2 weeks ago. Jesus. Simon, take the hedge fund companies out of police recruitment, vetting, and training would be a great start. It would. How does nationalisation square with local solutions? Says Jim Bob Robob. Well, absolutely. I mean, we would still have regional bodies for everything. I mean, even if we do make the water supply nationalised, which I'm hoping is going to happen over the next few years. Even if we do that, I doubt there's going to be a national water supply. I think it's going to be broken down into areas to make it more manageable. And the thing is, I'm not saying that one of the big problems in the past with having lots of different police forces was there was a lack of candor and also a lack of sending documents about offenders from one constituency to another. That's got a lot better now. Data sharing is a lot better than it was. But one of the reasons why Ian Huntley managed to be a guy who should have been on the radar for the police, and yet he still got a job as a caretaker in a school, and then went on to murder 2 children. That was because data wasn't being shared between forces. That's got a lot better now, and so as long as that is there to that all forces can look at the info, and people going from one borough of London to another can't evade fucking capture. I do think that it works better at a sort of a smaller scale. I don't want a nationalised police force. It's too much like an army. I want it to be a local thing for local people. I know that I'm quoting the League of Gentlemen there, but no, I really do. I think that it should be something where the chief inspector, I do like the idea of having bobbies on the beat. I'm sorry, and that might come across as a bit, a bit parochial, a bit Tory of me, but I do. I like the idea of people not being afraid of the police. In America, they go a completely different route. People are afraid of the police. They see the police and they're like, shit. They get that feeling of fear in the pit of the stomach every time they see a police officer because they don't know what that police officer is going to do. American police officers murder, or they kill over 1,138 people in any given year in America, which is twice the number of people who were killed by murderers in England and Wales. Diogo Jota's car was a rental, but those Lambos have been subject to lots of safety issues, apparently. Saddest thing, he was driving because doctor advised not to fly after medical procedure. Yeah. Neil Kinnock's suggestion for the new Corbyn policy, Farage assistant group. I can't say that word, we'll get demonetized. The only comments of mine that get through are those who mention the removed one, says Acro Dave. Oh, God. It's like a catch-22, isn't it? I'm impressed today. I've only had 3 out of 4 comments removed from Graham's feed. If there is a market for it, capitalism will provide. Lol, says Captain Coconut. Even a spray to flower our nether regions. There is something to be said for nationally coordinated police resources. Those US horrors are locally recruited and supervised, and it doesn't help. Yeah. Okay. So, Anne, I think you're right for certain resources. And that's why I'm talking about data sharing. But you're right, also things like being able to have a rapid response unit for terrorists or terrorism, or for, like, armed officers needing to be deployed, that kind of thing. Yeah, I guess that could be something that's sort of coordinated across services, which is something that I think we have to some extent at the moment, but we need to go down that route rather than consolidating police forces. I think consolidating police forces, I just can't. I just think it would become too big and too impractical. I like the idea of having police forces where everyone knows each other, and that cannot happen if you have a police force that employs thousands and thousands of people in all different offices around the country. If cannabis gets legalized, I'll fear police less. Yeah, Chips. One of the ways that Labour could make loads of fucking money tomorrow is legalizing cannabis. Yes. And then we've got Vendetta saying, Ibithas are awesome, small cars, or VW and Audi parts. Yeah, Seat, not Seat. And Martin says, yes, like Dukakis, I have a lot of generic parts. Dukakis you can buy from Halfords. Well, having generic parts really helps for getting spares for your car when it crashes. It needs spare parts for things. Right. Okay. So I'm gonna head off now. Thank you so much. We made £36.99 on the super chats today. Yippee! That made it worth getting out of bed for. I'm gonna have some breakfast now because I'm bloody starving, and I might take a couple of Anadin. Take that, woo. But I wasn't even drinking yesterday. I'll be back tomorrow. I might do a show later today with Super Tansky. Depends how we feel. If I've got time to do that or whatever. But if not, I will see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock for another morning brew. Brew haha. Maybe that's what I should change the name to. Morning brew haha. I like that. That's good. I'm not going to write that down. Anyway, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for the super chats. Thank you for the chat in general. I think you're keeping everything cordial and nice. I hope you have a great Sunday. It looks like it's going to be a bit rainy for most parts of the country today, so maybe play some board games and have a nice time in your home. Play some video games, watch some movies, catch up on Squid Game. I don't know. In the meantime, I will piss off. I will ask you before you go for just one little favor. You know what this is going to be, don't you? It's just to give us a like. Just a like. Just hit that like little thumb up under the video. It really, really helps out. And yeah, that's it. Until next time, thanks for watching. Hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.